Who cares?
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about UFC on ESPN, Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. And yeah, we're going to hop right into my predictions. The first fight of the night, Jamie Lynn Horth in the women's flyweight division versus Vanessa Demopoulos. About this fight, I've said both girls have been up and down so far in their respective UFC careers. And even though Vanessa Demopoulos has more experience in the UFC and in fighting in general, I think she moves up in weight. She usually fights at strawweight. I don't know why she's moving up. Maybe she planned to move up from the get-go. Maybe it is because it's on short notice. I think it's because it's short notice. And in her short UFC career, I think that Jamie Lynn Horth has fought tougher competition, especially Miranda Maverick, who's going to be the co-main later on. Which is why I think she's showing a little bit more promise in her career so far. And that's why I'm leaning towards her by decision. We move on. Welterweight division, we have Philip Rowe versus Angelosa. It's a tough one to predict, I think, because so many things can actually happen in this fight. On one hand, you have Phil Rowe, who usually fights like once a year, grapples twice a year, but you haven't a big enough sample size to really know how he's going to be fighting. But since he is grappling so much, it looks like he's hell-bent on improving that part of his game, so it might actually be sharpening his skills. On the other hand, Angelosa has struggled with tough competition, and I think that Philip Rowe, whatever, is tough competition, and I think Angelosa will be broken again, and it's going to be a TKO finish for Philip Rowe, I think. We move on. We have the bantamweight division. We have Ricky Simon versus Cameron Smotherman. Another short notice fight. Cameron Smotherman came in on short notice. I'm not quite sure. Let me check how long the short notice is. We don't know. I can't see a date here, so I don't know. Doesn't matter. It is short notice for Cameron Smotherman. Ricky Simon had a fight already, and was kept on the card after Charles Jourdain, probably withdrew. During fight week, so it is very short notice for Cameron Smotherman. Yeah. I have to say, Cameron Smotherman has shown promise in his career so far. I think he's pretty talented. I think he could go places if he improves certain areas. But I think on short notice against Ricky Simon, who is just usually fighting ranked opposition, that's just a hard task. I think Ricky Simon is going to be too well-rounded and too experienced, and he's going to take a decision in the end. We move on. Flyweight division, we have Cody Durden versus Jose Ochoa. 1 second. There we are. Yeah, everything should be running smoothly. I have actually no idea why they booked this fight. But here we are. We got the fight. Jose Ochoa has lost his debut in the UFC, and Cody Durden so far has only lost to a high-level competition in the UFC in the flyweight division. Let me just fill that with a couple of names. He lost to Mokaev, he lost to Flick. Okay, Flick is maybe not, but he's a very good submission artist, so it can happen. He lost to Joshua Van. He beat Matt Schnell, who's a perennial contender for the ranking in somewhere in the top 15, but I think right now he's just outside of it. He lost to Tagir Ulanbekov. Yeah, maybe Bruno Gustavo da Silva is not ranked right now, right? Let me check. I'm just checking to make sure. Where are we? Well, Tagir is ranked right now. Joshua Van might not be ranked, still not ranked. Oh, Bruno Silva is ranked. All right, so he lost to ranked. Yeah, as I said, he lost usually most to high-level competition, and yeah. I don't think Ochoa is that high of competition. I think that Durden's going to take it. I think I especially liked his performance against Matt Schnell, which is why I'm actually leaning towards submission for Cody Durden, because I really liked his ninja choke. It was really quick, the way he snuck it on, and he finished really, really fast with it. So I like that. Submission Cody Durden is my pick. We move on. Bantamweights again. We have Malcolm Wellmaker versus the returning Chris Moutinho. I have to say, Chris Moutinho has looked great after his cut from the UFC. I think he went on a 5-fight winning streak, something like that. But Malcolm Wellmaker is just a smooth and lethal striker. He sees openings. He makes openings and he hits very hard. And in that sense, I think he is kind of comparable to a Sean O'Malley on the feet. He's very, very confident, like Sean O'Malley. He throws very different techniques, but in his demeanor, I think they're very similar. And O'Malley gave Moutinho all sorts of problems in their fight, and I think it's going to be the same. I think Malcolm Wellmaker by TKO is my prediction for this one. Back to the welterweights. We have Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. We have two tough veterans. I mean, Ultimate Fighter veterans. Also, they're both very tough, but yeah, that's what I meant. 1 second. Yeah. But I think only one of them has still ambitions to become a champion or to become, to really climb the rankings and maybe, make a run for the belt maybe. And I think that's Michael Chiesa. I don't think Court McGee has that ambition still in him. I think he just wants to take as many fights as he's still getting from the UFC. And unless Court McGee catches Michael Chiesa with his pants down or less figuratively with his neck out, I think he's going to take a decision here. Court McGee does not get submitted easily, so I don't think Chiesa will submit him, but I think he's going to take a unanimous decision. At least a decision. We move on. Last fight of the prelims. We have in the light heavyweight division, we have Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. To me, this is the most obvious fight of the night. There's two ways this fight's going to go. Either Bellato keeps it safe and wins by TKO or decision, or Paul Craig catches another submission. And that sounds, I'm aware that sounds like I'm leaning towards Bellato, but I'm not. I think with all of his experience, with all the fights he had, with all the looks he's seen, all the fighters he's gone through, I think Paul Craig is going to find another submission. That's my pick. And now we move on to the main card. Light heavyweight division. There we stay. Alonzo Menifield versus Umar Su. Su? I'm not sure. One of the fights I changed my mind a couple of times, just like the Paul Craig Bellator fight. I'm not sure if Bellator might actually catch him. Other than that, yeah, the other fights that I'm swinging are right ahead. One of them is right here. I think that Menifield is a very powerful striker, but he has struggled in the past when there's a really technically skilled striker right in front of him. And Umar Su is very skillful. And I think that he can get the job done unless he gets clipped. Unless Menifield gets a knockout, I think. 1 second. I think Umar Su is going to take a decision. 1 second. I'm still sick, so I need something to drink. We move on. Middleweights. We have Mansour Abdul Malik versus Cody Brundage. Abdul Malik has shown a lot of potential so far in his career. His career is not that long. He hasn't had that many fights, but he's been perfect so far, and he has a lot of early finishes. His reward for this is Cody Brundage. And Cody Brundage is a tough challenge. But if he can make this fight look like his other fights, meaning easy work, early finish, or maybe even a decision, but looks easy for him. If that happens, he gets a ranked opponent next. And I actually think he has the tools to do that. So I think Mansour Abdul Malik by TKO. And then we're going to see. Then we're going to talk about Mansour Abdul Malik. But only if that happens. We'll see. We move on. Bantamweights, Cody Garbrandt versus Raoni Barcelos. Another fight I switched my opinion a couple of times. This is what I'm standing by. I like Cody's fighting style, but I think that Raoni Barcelos is a really tough matchup for him, especially considering the last fights, the last loss of Garbrandt versus Figueiredo, who just got him down and continuously got him down and then submitted him. And I think Barcelos is probably a better grappler than Figgy. Maybe they're even, but he's a pretty good break. Bottom line, he's a pretty good grappler. That's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, he lost to Figueiredo, and Barcelos had a dominant grappling display against streaking Peyton Talbot. Unless Cody Garbrandt gets hit one of his signature walk-off KOs, early KOs, I don't think he's gonna have a chance to see the end of this fight again. I think that Barcelos is gonna submit him. That being said, I think that Peyton Talbot, by just surviving Raoni Barcelos, showed that he has a lot of defensive grappling. He just stayed too relaxed. And I think that Garbrandt is worse in BJJ than even at Peyton Talbot. And we move on that remark. Middleweights again. We have Edmen Shahbazyan versus Andrei Petroski. Another fight I switched a couple of times. Because this is a classical striker versus grappler matchup. And I have to say, Shahbazyan's BJJ, it ain't bad. But I can't see him submit Petroski from his back. I just can't. From himself, aggressively wrestling, maybe, but not off of his back. I don't think so. The real question, so in my mind, becomes: will Petrosky even get takedowns? And if he gets takedowns, will Edmund be able to pop right back up? Which he has shown in the past he's able. But he has also shown in the past that this ability diminishes the longer the fight goes. Yeah, but I think that Shabazian's takedown defense and ability to jump back up if Petrosky gets a takedown will tire Petrosky, who has tired a lot and hard in the past. He has a lot of muscle, and it's tough to get that much oxygen into your lungs to provide for those muscles. So I think he's going to tire Petrosky, and then the more tired Petrosky's been, the more chinnable he has been as well. So I think that Ed is going to find the chin at some point, and he's going to get a TKO. Yeah, that's my final pick. I was debating if it might actually be possible for Petrosky to control Shabazian, but I don't see it for 3 rounds. I don't think he's as good of a wrestler as where's that? Let me check who finished Ed on the ground. Derek Brunson. I don't think he can do that to him. I don't think he can do to him what Anthony Hernandez did to him, and I don't think he's as good of a grappler as Merchant, who can get the submission from one takedown. He just needs one. But I think Petrosky, to get a submission, needs, like, if there's a stat that says probably he gets a submission per 20 takedowns, something like that. If he even has it. Does he have submissions? He should have some, no? 4. He has 4 submissions. So. But he has probably 50 takedowns in his wins. So, nevertheless, we move on. Shabazian by TKO. We move on. Co-main event, women's flyweight division, Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. And this is an important, very, very important fight for me. Because I'm a huge Rose Namajunas fan. You can say about her private life whatever you want. And if it's true what people say about her private life, it's not her fault. Okay? She's not... If what people say about her and her private life is true, then she's the victim, and she does not need to get criticized over this, because it's not her fault. Not at all. We move on. About the fight. I'm a huge Rose Namajunas fan, I have to say, but I thought that at strawweight she didn't look that big. Many girls were physically a lot stronger than her. She was taller than most of them, but they were a lot stronger than her, especially like what's her name? Oh, I can't remember her name. The first rivalry of strawweight. Claudia Gadelha. Yeah. She looks way physically that much stronger, and even Joanna Jędrzejczyk looked a lot stronger than Rose. And bigger. And now she moved up to flyweight, and she looks even smaller. And in the losses she's been physically controlled by fighters. And that's a big part and a big strength of Miranda Maverick. So for the first time, I think, in all of my MMA picking, I'm picking against Rose Namajunas. Because I think that Miranda Maverick will push it to clinches and try takedowns. If she doesn't get it, okay, stay in the clinch, control her, don't let her breathe, or get the takedown and try to control her from top. But I don't, and I think The most frustrating part about this is that in my vision, Rose is going to remain patient the entire time. And then the final bell rings, and she's probably going to be, because, her opponent told her, you're doing great. And then it's another decision loss in the end. So for the first time, I'm going to pick against Rose Namajunas. I'm sorry, Rose. I love you, but I don't see any improvement in that regard. So I think it's going to be like that. At the end of the fight, you're going to raise your arms as always, and you're going to lose a decision. And your corner will have told you after at least 2 rounds that you for sure won this one and that you did perfectly. And probably lost those. Yeah. Okay. That was very emotional. I'm sorry. We switched the topic to the main event of the evening. We have Kamaru Usman, the welterweight king of 3 years ago, I think, or 2, 3, versus Joaquin Buckley. Okay. About this fight, I have to say that my opinion is going to be controversial, I think. So I'm going to say this first. The old Kamaru Usman from 3-4 years ago would have, or let's say 5-6 years ago, he would have been a blanket to Buckley. And he would have won a decision. Probably a boring one, but he would have won a decision for sure, because he wouldn't let Buckley tee off on him at any point, and he would just grab a hold of him, take him down, ground and pound. As he did early in his career, I think he would do the same to Buckley. But I don't think he can go this hard for 5 rounds anymore. I really don't. And in my opinion, this fight's going to look a lot like Usman versus Edwards 3. And that means Buckley defending a lot of takedowns, popping back up a lot of times when he gets taken down, and on the feet he's landing strikes. It may at some point that Kamaru Usman just completely skips the takedown because he can't take him down. It might happen. And then it's that will make it very interesting, but because I'm not sure that on a pure stand-up fight, Buckley is the winner for sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm going Buckley. I think the old Kamaru would just wrestle the out of him and win the decision, but I don't think it's gonna go that way anymore. And Buckley has shown a lot of good takedown defense against Colby. So Buck by decision. I know, controversial. Okay, we go over my picks. Let me just quickly move my face. All right. Jamie North, a decision win over Vanessa Dinomopoulos. Philip Rowe, a TKO over Angelosa. Ricky Simon, decision over Cameron Smotherman. Cody Durden, a submission against Jose Ochoa. Malcolm Wellmaker, TKO against Chris Moutinho. Michael Chiesa, decision against Corey McGee. Paul Craig, a submission against Rodolfo Bellato. Umar Su, a decision against Alonzo Manifield. Mansour Abdul Malik, TKO against Cody Brundage. Honey Barcelos, a submission against Cody Garbrandt. Edmund Shabazian, TKO against Andrei Petrovsky. Miranda Maverick, a decision against Maroz Namajunas. And last but not least, Joaquin Buckley will get the biggest win of his career in a decision over Kamaru Usman. My God. Those are my picks. Okay. One final thing I'd like to say about this card. This card is a lot better than the UFC 316. So I think it's necessary that we as the community make a statement to this. it's a joke. This fight night has so much more star power and so much more name power, so much more exciting matchups than UFC 316. It's not even funny. I mean, you should really consider not losing your your audience while you're trying to make a deal with ESPN, or not ESPN, with Netflix right now. Because the UFC 316, in comparison to this card, is a joke. This card's very good. I like this card. I don't think it's rather bottom heavy. I don't think it's has that many good fights in the end. But in general, it has many good fights, so I'm happy about it. So that's it. Those are my predictions for the upcoming UFC on ESPN. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you guys in the next one. See you.